All right, we're live. And if you're watching the recording, I want to just say welcome. So for everyone who's live, feel free to jump in with any questions and we'll do our best to answer them. And again, even if you're watching the recording, you can leave a question down below. We'll do what we can to get you an answer, or maybe even make another video on this. But one of the interesting things is a lot has changed in this world the last 2 weeks. It's like, we kind of knew there was this coronavirus thing out there, but we didn't know how it was going to impact things. And it's like every day, it's like some new lesson, something else. So I'm really excited to have on my friend Carlos Alvarez, who knows a lot about Amazon. He's been doing this for a long time, a lot longer than me. And he's seen a lot of changes along the way. And he's got some good insight on how we might adapt to this and get some of our sales back. So Carlos, super excited to have you here as we talk through what's going on right now.
What's up, Kevin? Yeah, I mean, first of all, I love how you start your thing, like first welcoming the people that are watching this on a replay. I've heard you do that before. I think that's genius how you do that. So
well, thank you.
Kudos for that. I'm going to steal that from you. So
please do. I stole it from someone else along the way.
If I ever forget to give you credit, forgive me. What's going on, man? Yeah, definitely. I think we're in. I don't think things will ever be the way they were before, and that's not a bad thing. And
exactly.
Yeah. There's a lot of firsts for everybody. I pride myself on having processes for processes. And I have an amazing virtual team, amazing domestic employees. I thought ready for anything. Nobody had the pandemic blueprint. You know what I mean? Nobody had the shelter in place blueprint. So I wanted to say, like, up front that I feel like I'm doing great considering the circumstances. I feel like we're on the right side of this. I'm super optimistic on this and post this. So, but I don't want to give the impression that, based on that, I just learned something, 14 years ago when I started doing this, that allowed me to be immune to what's going on. Like, I mean, I'm taking losses just like everybody else, but rather than let it, as I'm seeing a lot of it, unfortunately, a lot of the panic really set in with everybody. I think the experience from 2008, 2009 selling when the economy was just trashed, that I'm able to get that mindset from then and all the doubters then. And I was able to push through that. And that's, I think, giving me an advantage now. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I'll be honest. I've gone through these highs and lows, which I think a lot of people can probably relate to. At one point feeling like, yeah, this is going to be great long term, to like suddenly feeling like this is the end of the world. What is happening? And sometimes it changes like minute by minute. So we're all in uncharted territory here. This is going to be a lot to digest. So again, can you just reiterate how long you've been selling here on Amazon?
Full time for about 14 and a half years.
Okay.
So full time for 14 and a half years. I've always had without even realizing, I don't think the term private label was coined until many years later, but I've always had my hand in the cookie jar when it comes to private label. But I've done it all. I've done arbitrage. I do self-publishing, then wholesale. I gravitate, and the majority of my revenues now come from private label. I've currently am at about, and this is pre-pandemic or COVID.
Right.
Pre-pandemic, I was about 55% FBA, 45% FBM / merchant fulfilled prime. So that was always something that I loved doing, because before FBA was really popular, that was just the way you did it. And I work a lot with, big box retail stores and fulfilling purchase orders from the different 1P versions of e-commerce. So I'm familiar with the setup.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Please continue. So let's do this. Let's talk a little bit about where are we now and how did we get there? So I keep seeing, like, in groups I'm in, people showing screenshots of like their sales are just kind of on this like trajectory downwards, and like, why is that happening? So let's just start with where we're at and why.
I don't want to be like come across as combative towards those people that are doing that. But I feel like those were usually the people too that jumped on regularly and said, sales are just down everywhere. Like every other day, like, is anyone else noticing this? Instead of, coming up with ways to figure out why, to figure out ways to adapt and do things differently. If you do things the way you were doing it prior to this pandemic, then and COVID-19, then that's not going to work. And if you would try to apply what you did previously to post-pandemic Amazon, that's not going to work. Like you have to be flexible. You have to adapt. You have to be willing to learn new things and understand something that you invested a lot of time in learning may not be as relevant after. But where we're at now, first of all, I think it's important to say we're on the right side of this. We don't own cruise lines. We're not in the tourism industry. I own dance studios, you know what I mean? So like, you don't own a dance studio. It could be worse. Imagine how many people are going in there to touch and dance right now,
Not very many.
Right. So there is a lot of other bad scenarios that you could be in. We're on the right side of this because we're on e-commerce, and we're on the right side of this because we're, let's say, Amazon centric. So we're on the right side of it. And then the other two things that I feel that is just has a lot of unknowns surrounding it and has a lot of people confused is first was, I'm going to call it the first hammer, which was we're designating essentials and non-essentials. And if you're a non-essential, you can't create an FBA shipment going in. So that was an unheard of up until that point. And it was pretty much engraved in stone with the 10 commandments. 11th commandment was you can, anytime you want, you can send products to FBA.
Yeah. So they encouraged it.
Yes, like absolutely. And it was just, again, engraved in stone was like a commandment. And that never again, it'll always have that asterisk next to it, that unless blank. And I think it's important that we understand that unless and adapt it in our future plans. But the second one was, and I think this is the one that really has like stirred things up. And that is products that had that prime 2-day promise delivery on Amazon now have shipping dates of May 1st, which Amazon has successfully trained everyone into, I want it now.
Right.
And,
not in a month.
Right. And you and I, when we were younger, 6 to 8 weeks was pretty much the standard when you ordered anywhere. Or at least I remember that, 6 to 8 weeks. And that was fine. 6 to 8 weeks, you go out of business now. Right. So it feels like, so Amazon successfully trained people to expect that, even Prime members. So when a Prime member, the concern is that when a Prime member sees that now of a delivery date of May 1st, they're going to, first of all, question, well, I paid for a membership. Why do I have to wait? And second, they might put off the sale, the purchase. They may put off the purchase, which translates into less sales on our end. So like, those are the two hammers I think that are causing the most stress for Amazon sellers. And unless you wanted to add something there, I would just talk about like how I'm addressing them and go from there.
Yeah. So, I like your point about we have to put some perspective on this. So as much as it can feel like, oh, it's going down, 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 down. One of the things I've learned out of this situation as a business owner, you have so many more tools in your toolbox that you may not realize you have. Like all of a sudden the government's coming out with programs and SBA loans. And like here in Florida where we're at, there's a special Florida loan. I'm sure other states have other programs. Absolutely. So you have different options you can do to, mitigate some of the loss. And, in my previous life, I used to work in hotels. And so the tourism industry, as you said, has just been decimated. And I've reached out to some people and like Marriott laid off like 2/3 of their staff, just like that. And, I understand why they had to do it. And like, I was talking to somebody I know who's like, he's like director of catering at like a big hotel, and he was doing overnight security because they just have to, whoever's there has to do like pretty much everything. So we're in a good spot where we have so many tools in our toolbox. And so if we look at it from where we have strength and understand maybe why things have gotten to where they are, then we can figure out, okay, what's the next steps? Now, to your point, let's talk about like, what are the next steps of how we can mitigate some of this loss of sales?
Let me add something on that too. Like what happened right now is God, it's great. Let me show you what the reverse in my mind looks like is Amazon does not designate essentials and non-essentials. And after this, every competitor of Amazon's or anybody who's going to point out the fact that you couldn't even get toilet paper when you needed it from Amazon.
Right.
You don't want these buyers that are allowing us to have this amazing opportunity that we have to now question Amazon as a buying channel, now question their Prime accounts. Like that, to me, that's a total loss. Like that's catastrophic when we start going down that path. So what they did was they preserved, in my view, they preserved an even better, I hate to use the word future because it sounds so far away, but it preserves a better future in a week and a half, 3 weeks, a month. Like it preserves that for us and makes it even better, because now more people know, like, not only am I still getting in a pandemic the products that I need, but I can get them in 2 days with a Prime promise if they're essential and it's what I need right now. So there's going to be more Prime accounts, in my opinion, after this that are going to be buying from us, even non-essentials, than there was going into this. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because I've had so many people reach out to me that are not in the midst of, Amazon and FBA shipments and 30 days to get a product, essential versus non-essential. So many people are like, oh, you must be crushing it, because they see themselves ordering lots of stuff because they can't leave their house or they don't want to leave their house. So they're more dependent on Amazon to get them essential products. But for most of us FBA sellers, we're probably selling non-essentials, but long-term, it's going to get better, because anyone that's ever worked for a big company knows big companies don't just sit on problems.
Right.
Heads roll. People have to impress their bosses, and someone has to go to someone's office and say, yeah, we're non-essential products are 30 days out. And I'm sorry. Like, they're not going to allow that to happen forever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you just said Marriott, or I think this hotel you said, laid off almost 2/3 of their people.
Yep.
Amazon's hiring 100,000.
Right, because they're trying to keep up with demand.
Right.
Like,
So
it's kind of a good problem to have for the long
term.
term.
It is. And I think that's critical. And we'll get into the mitigating, like, meat and potatoes of this now. But I really think that's actually more of the meat and potatoes, that mindset that you can keep through this, that we are on the right side of this.
Yes.
Remain very positive and avoid, panicky people that are making you panic. Usually those who sell the panic sell the cure. So so avoid that.
Yes.
Now, okay, so things that I'm doing and that I'm suggesting to people and that are working, let's go to the first one and they kind of tie into each other. So the inability to send FBA shipments in. There's a chance that you already have inventory on hand, or that you can continue ordering inventory and receive it. If your process was sending that into FBA, that obviously changes. Fortunately, something again that exists now that didn't exist before, you could always have received it, which I know is like almost a badge of honor to not touch a tape gun nowadays. But like, you could actually receive these goods, get a tape gun from your local supplier, some packaging, bubble wrap.
Order from Amazon is probably essential.
Or order from Amazon, for sure, it's essential. It is. Order these products, get them, and ship your goods out. The second one is, if you don't want to do that, or you're unable to do that based on space in your house, you always have a merchant fulfilled option. And that's important, that you're adding that option, or you're adding that offering to your existing FBA listing, and you're not replacing it or turning off your current FBA listing. Like, you need to leave that open.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I've had a lot of people talk about, like, oh, I'm switching my listings to FBM and I'm not seeing anything happen. So you're saying, which I agree with, keep your FBA listing, add a second one, because this is out of where I think a lot of people even think about, like, because they're just so used to it's one product, one listing, one offer.
Yeah, because I mean, first of all, making that kind of change to an FBA listing is going to cause some really nasty stranded inventory issues that you just don't want to deal with.
Right.
And second, the stat that I remember is 54% of households have a Prime account. A growing percentage of them begin their shopping experience by, ticking that box and seeing what's Prime eligible. The majority of these products are still coming up, like that FBA offering you had, as, in that tick box criteria search. Now, when they see that offering, and then they're like, wow, May 1st, I don't feel like waiting for May 1st. But then right with it, there's an FBM offering, or maybe you have your FBM offering trumping and taking the box. And this one has 2-3 day delivery. If you're eligible to use priority mail, depending on your product, that can get it much sooner than May 1st. having that listing, an FBA listing available, allows them to find it and make that decision. First of all. Second, I'm still getting sales from non-essential items. Like we're still getting them. I've made purchases myself. A lot of these items that say May 1st, as soon as you get them in the shopping cart, the shopping cart shows a delivery date of like 7 to 10 days from now. I'm also seeing that if you purchased an essential at the same time as a non-essential, I'm assuming this part, don't quote me on this, but I'm assuming if they're in the same warehouse, I'm seeing them still get packaged up in the same box and get sent out. So you're still, if it happened to be in the same facility with an essential, you're still getting it. It's still sales. You don't want to turn off any spigots right now. Sales.
Right.
Yeah. That now is not the time to get too choosy about that. Or too picky about that. Like
take it as you can get it.
Yes. You take it as you can get it. So regarding receiving products, you can send it to a 3PL. I'm sure you have some that you'd recommend, but you can send it to a 3PL. You can receive it and either way do merchant fulfilled offerings that way. The final one is, let's say you don't have the inventory on hand. It's already in a fulfillment center and now they're delaying the recalls. So if you want to recall inventory and do this FBM model, they've just announced there's a delay on those recall orders. I got lucky.
Because a lot of people were probably pulling stuff out of the warehouse. Okay.
Yeah. So I got lucky. And before that rule came out, I did a recall that actually came out because I was concerned that COVID would probably penetrate some of the FBA centers. And I wanted to hedge my bets a little bit.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Not that they would, stop 2-day delivery on these products. Like nobody guessed that. So I was able to get some of them out, but right now there's a delay in that. You can still create the merchant fulfilled offering when you get a sale as of now. But like you said, if you're listening to this video at another time, things are changing rapidly.
Very rapidly.
Right, and it may not apply, but as of right now, my multi-channel fulfillment orders from my FBA inventory are still shipping out on time. So you can list something FBM, get the sale, go in, create a multi-channel fulfillment order from your FBA inventory, put in the address from your order in that multi-channel order. And, if this was an order from your Shopify, and you can even include the email address there so that Amazon's going to give the updates to that client and process the order by picking the appropriate shipping speed. So your shipping templates are going to dictate what that shipping speed is. If you have a product, you're like, there's no way I can deliver it in 2 days. Remember, that's a prime promise. When you're delivering this thing merchant fulfilled, you can pick a window that is
5 to 7 days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's doable for you. And that makes economical sense.
Right. Because why pay for like overnight shipping from Amazon multi-channel fulfillment?
Right.
When that might not make sense when you could do.
Nor is it required.
Right. It's not required. And, for the customer, getting it 5 days versus a month is a whole different ballgame.
Huge.
Yeah.
So that's my approach there to deal with, to mitigate some of the sales that, not some, in some cases, a considerable amount of sales from those two changes. Something else that I'm doing now that I've always done a lot of, and I feel like I've done a lot more of this than a lot of people I know, and that's just multi-channel selling. Sales are, and keep this in mind, you probably know, but when you go to another one of these channels to sell, if you try to compare or decide whether, gauge whether they're successful or not in comparison to what you're doing on Amazon, that you're just going to be very disappointed. Amazon does not have a close second in that regard, but sales are radically up on eBay, Rakuten US, Overstock.com has streamlined their onboarding process so that you can now get your products offered on Overstock.com, which has always been for me something even a little better than eBay as far as volume. I don't consider this next two parts like a major part of my business model, but we have really, as more for testing purposes, tried this out with amazing success actually, and that is OfferUp and Facebook Marketplace. Like products are flying there right now, actually at a velocity higher than what I was normally getting on eBay pre-pandemic. And this is local, cash in hand now, moving inventory. So this is like you have inventory on hand, you can send it. Offer Up and them will actually allow you to mail it to them, so you can do a multi-channel fulfillment order. So the gist of this is look at your other channels.
Right.
Finally, we sold out of 6 months of inventory in 4 days in Italy, on Amazon Italy. Like a lot of these other Amazon platforms, Prime is still a very real thing.
Yes.
Like a very real thing. And hopefully people, not just because it's a plug for you, I love your stuff and your course. You've helped people out in my group out immensely. But I'm hoping that people took advantage of that webinar that you had training people on. And I mean, you help a lot of people, but helping people, make that transition into not even a transition, at complementing their current sales with international selling, because it's alive and well. Sales are up there too.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. So like I've recently had some days where I've done more outside of the US on Amazon than I've done in the US. And that's like unheard of. And I tend to have better international percentages of my US sales than others do. And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing, because my products will say 30 days delivery in the US, but it's Prime in UK and Canada. So yeah, excellent point there.
Yeah, US, I mean, international sales are alive and well. Let's see what else. I mean, as far as mitigating the sales, those are, I'd say those are some of the small hinges or small things that are making, big moves in what I'm doing.
Yeah. And kind of on that note, if you think about it, and I was in a mastermind with someone else, this isn't an original thought of mine, but the way he phrased it.
Where was my invite?
Oh, you'll be next. You'll be next.
All right.
But basically, the way someone phrased it was like, okay, let's say you say eBay, Rakuten, Overstock, international, whatever, all these different channels. Maybe they're 5-10% of your US Amazon sales during normal times. You add 3 or 4 of those. Now, all of a sudden, you've reduced your risk by about 1/3. So if all your eggs were in Amazon.com's basket, and now we see something could happen unexpectedly that no one saw coming, even if you kind of knew something was going to have a difference. I thought it was going to be supply chain issues with China, not Amazon having trouble getting stuff out of the warehouse.
Yeah. Something you said though, like I feel, not that you feel this way, that I notice a lot of people when they say it's only 5% of it only adds 5% of my sales. I'm like, what? Like PayPal thrives on 3%. Like,
right.
Like 5% is huge. That's a really big deal. If you don't think it is, just say, I'll tell you what, invest 5% of your disbursements and just stick it in a savings account and check with me in like 4 months. If you don't think,
which is going to be better off for you. Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, 5% is a lot. And, and
it all adds up.
Of course, it all adds up. International's alive and well.
People are still buying stuff online.
They are, and they're buying it on Prime, even with May 1st dates, but less. Remember, some of this is not just Prime. Some of this is, some people are in a panic. Some 2/3. Imagine what the shopping is like for the 2/3 of the people that lost their job from that hotel. Like,
right,
they're tightening up their purse strings. Not all of this reduction in sales is because, good old evil Amazon, if that's what you think, has popped off their Prime promise or something. It's not that. Like, it's everyone's being a little more cautious in what they purchase. And there are some categories that thrive in a time like this, beauty, people, when they're stressed and everything, they still get their beauty products to boost that self-confidence and that feeling. Tobacco accessories, believe it or not, are still an essential because they fall under health and personal care, which for the life of me, I can't understand why Amazon classified it, but they do.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So you might get a pipe or some rolling paper next to your mask. So it's crazy. But yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, really, I think what we should all take away from this is we're going to have to adapt, do things a little bit differently. But I think the long term, we can look at it as there's a lot of benefit in the long term that, like you said, people are buying stuff online. The sad part is, and I don't like to think of it this way, but there's going to be a lot of brick and mortar stores that are going to close.
I might have a few of mine that close.
And that's sad. You know, we don't want that to happen. And you at least have taken the ability to push stuff off of brick and mortar store and put it online. I've talked to people like that. I go to local networking groups just to get out of my house. And I talked to like, you know, someone that maybe owns a surf shop here locally. And it's like, he's waiting to close down until his lease is up. Well, he may not even get that chance now, but I was telling him, like, just offer your stuff on Amazon. You already have it and just ship it to the customer FBM. And he's going to be wishing he had done that because
he's an Amazon seller already.
No.
Okay.
No, these are people that are like we forget sometimes in the Amazon world, not everyone understands what we're doing.
Right.
And so there's a lot of people that are like, well, Amazon's taking my sales. Well, get them back from Amazon, because the person that buys from you in Boise, Idaho is not cannibalizing your local customer here. And a lot of people don't necessarily get that.
Yeah. You know who, and I don't know anyone personally, but and I also don't know the specific content, but knowing this person, Scott Volker, I feel like a while back, he made a major transition and focused more on brands, brand building, the importance of list building, and all of those things. And anyone that heeded that advice then is probably sitting in a much better position right now than prior. I've always been a fan of doing that, and it's truly helping me here. Having said that, well, here's an example without giving any names, but I know somebody hired me for some strategy stuff, and they have a product. It's a home workout product. Mind you, this is in demand right now.
Oh yeah.
Home workout. And their top 3 for their top 10 keywords, top of page 1. And they've been that way for about 3 years. This is, I mean, they're making some really, really good money. And total panic, their sales stopped. Obviously, that's not an essential. So I said, well, if your sales stopped here, you know, how are things going everywhere else? Like, have you created any offers for your list, for your people? They don't have anything. Nothing. They have a private label that used, you know, normal, don't get involved, don't create a brand techniques into launching this thing. And then here they get caught with their proverbial pants down. Now, mind you, this is a brand. Some brands are harder than others to create content for, but
right.
I mean, this brand, there's diet plans, there's workout plans. Can you imagine if you built a list right now and we're even in a competitive category like yoga, right?
Right.
You can connect to everyone and say, hey, we're streaming our classes right now. You might be able to create an offering. And
my wife's gym is closed and she's doing it all online.
Yeah. I just did some strategy stuff with Cycle Bar. This is a gym. Like, these are one of the hardest people hit. They're transitioning now like in desperation. And they're like, we're going to rent our bikes, you know?
Oh yeah.
We're renting our bikes to people at home. So, but they have a list of people that they can contact that are their customers.
Right.
So I think this is not a knock on Amazon, but this is a wake up call for you to grow your business in a more evergreen way that, you know, protects you from stuff like this. Hopefully this is the last pandemic we deal with in our lifetime, but
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
but we never know. And whether, you know, like, just to put things in perspective again, you know, we're dealing with this, but we're not alone in the world. Every industry is dealing with something. Absolutely. I was on New Year's Eve, I was at a friend's house and there was a couple, they're both pilots. And I was thinking, man, they got the life, you know, they got, you know, make good money. It's like they're talking about like they're like basically, it was almost like they were talking about like week on, week off type of thing. I'm like, that sounds fun. You see the world. Dude, being a pilot right now would be a terrible job, because think of all the flights that have closed down and things like that. So, I mean, we got to realize we're in a good spot. We have a lot of options, and really we're in control of where we go from here as business owners.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So any other words of encouragement just to kind of close this up?
I know a lot of people find it cheesy, but I'm from experience, and, you know, having those doubters in the beginning when I was starting my business, it feels like another lifetime ago. It was another lifetime, but, and in a bad economy and all of that. It's mindset. You really need to have the right mindset right now. And you need to be, just like you're cutting expenses, just as aggressively, if you're cutting expenses, you need to aggressively either distance yourself or cut off people that are inciting panic and negativity right now
Mm,
in your life in this business. You want to talk to them afterwards? Go for it. Knock yourself out. That's a
right.
whole other story. But right now, you truly do have enough on your plate to deal with. I'm not trying to call this time easy, but you
Right.
don't need that negativity creeping in. You don't need those firefighters. You need fire starters. You need to like connect with Kevin, be in his group. I mean, I'm always an open book. You can call me, text me, be in the Wizards of Amazon group. I mean, you need to surround yourself with people like that. If you're in a time right now and you have this idea and you're like, I'm just going to crawl in the hole with this idea so nobody knows it, and maybe I'll be able to ride out the storm, in my opinion, you'll die with that idea right now. You're not going to come out the other side of it. Right now, you need to maximize relationships and not as much in ROI.
That's so true. That's so true because, I'm borrowing things. I think we're both borrowing things we've heard from other people. And, there was one webinar I was on, it was nothing to do with Amazon or e-commerce. And whoever it was saying, take your phone, go deep into your text history and just start reaching out to people.
Absolutely.
And you have no idea what could come out of that. And with no expectation of it either, just because you're human, they're a human. And I guarantee you every single person you write is going to say, thank you for checking in.
Yeah. I mean, and think about this too, a little bit on the business side. You have a phone, if you're a PL seller, which the majority of people listening, I'm assuming there are, you have the Live Creator app. Go live. Go live on Amazon right now. And you know what? If you're concerned about the lights and all this stuff, they just closed down my area at 11:59 p.m. When you see me going live tomorrow, more than likely, it's going to be bad acoustics and it's going to be with a white wall behind me in my daughter's bedroom. So like the people that are watching your live on Amazon, they are in the same situation. And I even had to get some reassurances on that from a video I just listened to by Ryan Dice. And yes, go live. You're a PL seller. Like, you've been putting this off. Go live. Get some bad lives out of the way. Connect with people. Maximize relationships. Start getting followers on your Amazon live videos. Grow your brand. This is an opportunity. You have a captive audience. I don't care what product you're selling on PL right now. The type of buyer that buys it is at home right now consuming social media and YouTube. So that would be my advice.
So true. So true. Be a beacon of hope. Be someone that's, out there and staying positive, because you don't want to look back at this and hear the stories of the companies that became successful out of this and realize, oh, I missed out on an opportunity. Because you can go down the line and look at all the companies that were successful out of the Great Depression, every recession, and you could be the next success story. So
Facebook started in 2008.
Yeah, they came out, they got real big out of the recession. So yeah, lots of companies are, getting to different spots because of growing through. Even if they'd already been started, you could maximize this, and there's going to be some of your competition is going to be gone out of this.
Yeah.
So your choice.
Facebook thrived in 2008.
Yes.
Twitter started in 2008. Yeah.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. We can go back and rewatch what was that movie he was in? Not he was in, but like it was about
that was
social networks.
Oh yeah, that was good. That was good.
Yes. Yeah. So people can add that to their Netflix list. Absolutely. As opposed to watching Contagion or some other pandemic show. So, but another good thing too is just to remind everybody, put good information in your brain. And that's so important. So, not just like listening to Kevin and Carlos or whoever else that, maybe in your life is a positive, but it's good to know what's happening in the world, but you don't need to watch constantly negative news or outfoxing news or whatever.
It's so true. I swear to, it's so true. If you go in this with the wrong mindset, I don't care how good you source products or no PPC, like, you're just done.
Yeah. Because it's so true, because the thing of it is, if anything else major happens, I promise you're going to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to know the latest and greatest 24-hour news cycle, which isn't even a 24-hour news cycle. It feels like it's 2 hours now. You don't have to one up your neighbor on knowing everything that the president says, or this person said, or that person said, or this person did that, or whatever. Because at the end of the day, how much is it really affecting you other than the situation itself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, where can people go to find you and learn more about you?
Can I mention the podcast?
Please.
Yeah. I was actually on Kevin's podcast. It's Wizards of Amazon is my podcast, and I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think about those episodes. I'm on Instagram at Wizards of Amazon, Facebook group Wizards of Amazon, and I actually love texting. You can text me at 305-902-1283.
Nice. Nice. That's definitely ballsy to put your actual phone number out there.
Be surprised how few actually take me up on it.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I sent out to my list recently, hey, no strings attached, 30 minutes. I'll chat with you, walk you through whatever. And I thought more people would have taken me up on it than did, but the ones that have gotten good value out of it. And I even gave them more than a half hour in most cases.
Absolutely. And I've made some great relationships, the very few. I guess it's like the caliber of the person or the type of person that actually executes on that says something or does something. Because I've never had someone say, oh, the podcast you were on, you said to text you if I had a question, and that turned out bad. So
Right.
I never have. It's always been super positive. But
yes,
so few, like everyone says, oh my God, that's so ballsy. How do you do that? But you'd be surprised how few actually take me up on it.
that's true. So if you're here watching this right now and you watch the replay all the way now to 36 minutes, or you're watching this live now all the 36 minutes, take Carlos up on that. Definitely take him up on that. All right. So definitely check out Wizards of Amazon podcast, join the Wizards of Amazon group. The one thing I'll say about Carlos is he's very giving with the information. I hear stuff from Carlos I don't hear anywhere else. So it will definitely be worth your while to add Wizards of Amazon podcast to your list of podcasts and fill up with Wizards of Amazon and not other stuff that's not really serving you.
Yeah. Remember, those who sell the panic sell the cure.
So true. So true. All right. Well, appreciate having you on here, Carlos.
You're the man. Thank you.
Thanks.